Tell me, you live in this area. Tell me your thoughts.
I live at the very end of Pebble Beach, last house on the street. I'm not a happy boy. I just found out by a Facebook post that they were closing the road. I frequently have evening meetings, and if I believe the sign and the conversation I just had with someone from Public Works, the road will be closed at 8 o'clock. Therefore, I'll leave my car on one side of the construction site, I suppose, and walk home. I won't have the car the next morning, etc., etc. I'm not a happy boy, if you haven't guessed.
Not much notice. It happens on the 11th today.
I haven't had any notice. I only found out by a Facebook post.
What's it like for you, and what can you imagine what it's like for others?
I think it's pretty bloody awful. There are people that need to go to work. One of my neighbors has to be out of here, I believe, at 5 a.m. because he's a school bus driver. I'm not quite sure how that's going to work. Many people have electrical appliances. I think most all of us have freezers, sump pumps, whatever. And according to the sign, the power is going to be off from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. That's a 10-hour outage, which is not a good thing for your freezer or your basement flooding.
And that's just one night. I think it's going on for 3 nights.
I don't know. I'm not clear.
11th to the 13th, I think.
I'm not clear about that.
So it's last minute for you. Not that it's acceptable, and if I'm taking your word, it's not acceptable, but last minute.
Well, last minute doesn't really, to be honest, doesn't make it any worse. The whole episode makes it worse. I'm concerned about emergency services. What if I have a heart attack tomorrow night? No ambulance can come to my house? Or somebody was saying on Facebook they might have an ambulance posted on my side of the construction site. So what does that mean? The ambulance takes me to the construction site and they put me on a gurney and carry me across somehow? I don't think we've given any thought to the public safety concerns that are related to this. The other question I would ask is who's paying for all this? Is that part of the construction company's contract, or are the taxpayers of Cobourg going to be stuck with the charges for this disaster?
Safe to say many questions unanswered.
Certainly, I totally agree.
Thank you. Laurie, if you can, I know it's fast and furious pace now, but I guess there's a lot of concerns happening now. If you can explain a little bit about what's happening.
Yes, absolutely. So as we know, in this neighborhood, we've been under construction for a few months. It's been very inconvenient for the residents down here. We understand that, being single lane and being not safe to have pedestrian access through the site. We have been working diligently to prepare a public notice specifically for these residents that live down here that we are hand delivering today with engineering staff as well as fire staff to explain what's going to be happening in the next few days. We're at a very critical milestone with this culvert where the actual sections of the large culvert are arriving on Thursday night, and we are minimizing the inconvenience to the people that live down here by only closing down the road overnight instead of during the day for a few hours so that we can get half of the culvert done on Thursday and Friday night of this week, and then the second half of the culvert will happen in another couple of weeks. The most complicated part about this part, the beginning part of the culvert, is that it's under the hydro wires. So the crane that will be arriving, sorry if it's not there already, is very, very, very large, and it's going to span the entire width of the road, as well as being overhead near the wires. So we have to plan to have the power turned off intermittently, not for the entire night, only when the crane is operating within close proximity for safety precautions. We can't guarantee the length of the shutdown, but we will keep it as short as possible, as we do know that there are people that operate with some pumps within this residential area. So just to reiterate, the closures for this road will be closed to vehicular and pedestrian access 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. on Thursday night, and then it will be open again on Friday from 6 a.m. until 8 p.m. and closed again Friday night from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. Saturday morning. And also, for those people that need to get in and out or have a car positioned in a place that can get them to and from their house outside of these hours, we are going to have a shuttle service available so that you can park your car outside of the site. If you don't feel comfortable walking to your house, we can provide a shuttle service for you if you're not able to do that walk.
And what there was a resident here that said, what happens, say for instance there's a medical, say for instance, and he brought up the example, if he has a heart attack, does an ambulance take him to here and then he gets transferred to another ambulance to the hospital?
Yes, and we do realize, so we do have a temporary emergency access only road that can go around the site as long as the crane can move out of the way. In the meantime, we are going to have an ambulance, a fire truck, and a police cruiser stationed on this side of the bridge, on the west side of the bridge, in case there is an emergency. Those emergency response staff can get to those vehicles through the construction site on a moment's notice, and then we can get the vehicles out.
Some of the concerns are short notice.
Yes, we agree the short notice is the most inconvenient part of this. We do know that this situation would have happened regardless as far as the road closure requirement and the power turn-off requirement. The notice is definitely inconvenient, and we do apologize for that. We've been trying to work with the contractor on a delivery date to coordinate this date for a little bit, but we didn't know the exact delivery date of the culvert until Monday, which has been told to us that it's Thursday night and Friday.
Basically, it's making the best of a bad situation.
We are trying our best to get through this not great situation. We do apologize for the sign being turned on a little early. That was just a lot of moving pieces happening today, and that should not have been turned off until we had got our deliveries out to all of our residences, which I have right now. Engineering staff are going to be partnered with fire staff to go door to door and try to explain what is happening for those people that are home right now so that they can see it from an engineering perspective and from an emergency services perspective.
Beautiful thing. Lucas, can you tell me, there's a lot of activity taking place in Pebble Beach at this time because of the sign that created the...
We've been having action in Pebble Beach for a few months now, whether it's a water main or this, so construction is about navigating issues, and I think it's really important, like, it's all hands on deck. You said it earlier, I heard your end of the interview with Lori. Director Wills, there is no good way to do this. So in 2020, we found out that this had a life expectancy of no later than 2025. Now, approaching a culvert and in and out like this, the reality is you have two options: do it in sections or do it as one, as I'm sure you've heard from Lori. And the decision to do two was the least impactful. Now, when it comes to planning this kind of work, there's a lot of moving pieces. I can't speak to the construction side, but I know on the oil and gas side, landing the right equipment on the right time is a planning nightmare, especially in a development time when cranes are hotly fought after items and booking is often days out. I can tell you that on Monday, both CAO and I became aware of this situation and the necessity, and since then, the team has really come together: fire, engineering, planning, roads, the mayor's office, CAO. Looking at variety of options. Do we go for more time? Do we push the work off a week? Do we look at maybe doing two phases together? And as we started going through all the other alternatives compared to this, we saw the risk and the inconvenience was still the same, but the risk was higher. When we're talking about safety, culverts, and timing, there is no good time to do this. And while we were looking at potentially getting some more time out there, because the reality is we prefer more time, what we've learned, and what I learned, is that we're calling for rain next week. Rain would push this back further. We've got the crane booked for Thursday and Friday. We might not even be able to rebook it for next week because of the demand. Now, we know there's going to be an inconvenient event like this in a few weeks when we do the other side. And so I was like, well, why don't we just do it all in one? And then I learned really clearly that the reason is because to do it all at one would have required 2 to 3 weeks of no access. So that was the reason we originally did it this way. So you said it the best. This is two situations, both of which aren't enjoyable, positive, or likable. And instead, we are taking the least bad of those options. All hands on deck. I'm down here with the team to hand out some flyers, to talk to the residents, and to show that we know this isn't good. But at the end of the day, this work is needed to be done. There is no better way to do this work. There's only one in and out. I think the town, fire, and Ms. Wills has done an incredible job over the last 2 to 3 days, considering the short notice we had regarding the planning and the timing and the bookings, to get that emergency road, to ensure we've got the fire involved, to ensure we've got a parking. I'm not saying that we should be congratulated for doing this. What I'm saying is from a mayor's perspective, I was really impressed with how everyone accepted that this is not a good thing, and what are we going to do to mitigate that, and how are we going to ensure, and this is my favorite part, that this never happens again in terms of the planning. So one of the things I'm excited about is over the next sort of 6 to 12 months, as this goes through, talking to the engineering, talking to the construction team, and from my perspective, looking at how we can ensure that the communities that are going to be impacted by these developments that are years in the making have a better window of knowledge. I think that's something we can definitely take away from this, and also understanding that best laid plans of mice and men. And the reality is even when you have a plan, as we've had in the past to get some of this work done early, sometimes the crane doesn't show up or the right equipment's not there. And when we say culvert, Pete, I'm sure you've heard it from Lori, this is not a small culvert. These pieces that are getting put into place are 4 meters by 3 meters of solid concrete that weigh anywhere from 5,000 to 7,000 pounds. And so this, people think culvert, little metal piping under the ground. That's not what we're doing here. And more importantly, by doing it the right way, it's a 100-year lifetime on this new culvert. So we won't be facing this for generations. To the residents that are seeing this, no one's happy about this. We're trying to make the best of a bad situation. We're going to definitely take this as a learning opportunity so that we're not impacting communities like this, and maybe we can find ways of communicating a little more effectively in the future.
Like Ms. Wills was saying, and like you touched on, there'll be police, fire, and ambulance here stationed overnight. What happens if it's a major occurrence, e.g. what happens if it's a house fire and you only have one truck here?
So this would fall under the procedures. This is not the only time road access would be limited, and I have faith in our emergency responders that now, because everyone is aware of this situation, that within their own organizations they are taking the proper steps to know that they can still meet their mandated requirements. You see, that's the difference, Pete. You're asking me what the professionals are going to do their job. I don't know, because I'm not a police officer, nor am I a firefighter. What I do have is the faith in our team, because they know about this, because as of Monday when we found out, all hands on deck getting to it, that they've had the time to plan that out to make sure that we are, because I have the ultimate faith in the professionals of our fire and our police that they'll always ensure the safety of our residents over anything else, because that is their mandate and their job. So I don't have those answers, and I recommend that we definitely talk to, if you have those questions, that we hear from the chief and from the fire chief about how they would mitigate those responses.
If, last question, and thank you again, if further costs are incurred to the municipality, do the taxpayers soak it up? Does a construction company soak it up?
So we have to understand, Pete, that we are in a contract with a contractor. This is not the work being done by the town of Cobourg staff, but this work that is contracted out. And so as a public official, while under contract, I'm not going to say anything about that, because why would I? Instead, what I would say is that when contracts are executed, there are always financial remedies at the end of contracts to make up for unintended consequences and quotes. And so I guarantee that this is not just going to be absorbed by the taxpayers, nor is it just going to be taken on by the consultant. But instead, as I said, after this event, we're going to take some time to sort of reflect, learn, and figure out. And I can guarantee you'll be seeing something coming forward about exactly what you're asking in terms of the costs, the planning and how this has gone, the need for a construction of a road. This is all going to be part and parcel. While we're in it, the trick here is to focus on getting it through to the least amount of effect on our residents. Once this is finished, then we begin the process of pulling it apart to find out who's responsible for what costs, where we could have planned better, where we've done well, and how we move forward.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pete. Lucas Cleveland, Mayor Cobourg. Nice to see you, Adam.
Hey, how are you?
Are you okay if I videotape this for Mr. Fisher?
Pete, how are you?
So what we're doing, yeah, come on out to the dog zone. So we're delivering hand-delivered notices to all the community members. It's a real terrible situation. So on Monday, Seo Vaughn and I found out that the plans came together. We learned about them on Monday, and that Thursday and Friday we're going to have no access to the road. We always knew that this was coming, but we had hoped to have more notice. So what we did is the last 3 days, we've been troubleshooting to see how we could push it off from this week and actually do it another week, or is there a way to do it? At the end of the day, we know we have rain coming next time, and the reason we're doing it so quick is because the crane just became available. We're waiting on this crane. People don't realize there's 4 meters by 3 meter pieces. To do half the road, we have to drop 3 of them in. There's 7,000. There's all this to say, we know this is inconvenient.
Yeah.
My question is it explains how we're landing, it explains the parking lot, it goes through all the details. We are partnering and we're putting a fire department truck in the community.
Okay.
So there is going to be a fire truck here.
Okay.
Power is not necessarily going to be cut, it might be intermittent, but
Okay.
we've learned that that's it. What we're concerned about is that there's a 8 p.m. till 6 a.m. road impossibility to come in. Now, what we've done is we've constructed an emergency access route in the case of an emergency,
Yeah.
so that police can get in and or fire
Is that
out.
what all the construction is right now?
That's what the construction's been doing, is
Okay.
getting this done so that we have that emergency to make sure we're meeting our standards and our minimums.
Yeah.
That doesn't negate the impact to residents. We're not suggesting it does. What we're saying is that this is two terrible situations and we've been trying to mitigate it the best we can with the knowledge that the life expectancy of this is this year.
Yeah.
And that once this is done, it's 80 to 100 years before we need to do it again. And that doesn't make it better.
No,
I get it.
It definitely doesn't. Like, the first thing I'm now like trying to figure out as a dad who's got 2 kids on monitors, how the heck am I going to do
Exactly.
this? Like,
Because as I said, the power's not necessarily, but we know it'll be intermittent, so that's going to mess with your security. Yes, the empathy and the apologies need to come, and I think that's appropriate. That's why we've got all hands. Right now, we got about 15 or 18 staff on to actually have these interactions.
I appreciate that.
Doesn't make it better.
No, I guess this is like the third big thing from the construction company. Like, what's being done in the future then to prevent, like, because it's just not just our project. Like, how long has William Street been ripped up and the bridges hasn't even been done? And the worst part is you have the construction company shuttling vehicles and equipment between the 2 projects, so it's delaying that. So, like, I guess
You're right on point, and this is why I can appreciate your advocacy on different issues, Mr. Yan. You're ahead of the game. So this morning we had a all-hands-on-deck meeting in my office with the CAO on phone with, and the thing I stressed is that after we get through this period, because we've got phase 1 and then in a couple weeks phase 2, I wanted full deconstruction, not only of this project, but also of how we pick the construction people for these. Is it based on just price? Is it based on past experiences? One of the things you've seen is we're trying to look at development in Cobourg and rethink it.
Yep.
And while I don't like these experiences, to have to come to your door and explain these, I like them in the sense that it is making it very clear where we need to focus and where we need to see improvements. If we're going to develop, if we're going to solve these problems, to your point, if we're not going to impact the residents and ensure the development that is 10 and 15-year-old, that should have been done 10, how are we going to get that done while also not impacting? So I'm going to move a motion that we of course have some kind of report coming back about both learned opportunities and how we're going to potentially look at the procurement process. It's good we've got a procurement manager now with the town. It's one of the positions we've had trouble finding. So I'm going to talk to Charlie and look at how we can ensure that moving forward when we're taking these kind of contractual bids, that price is part of the equation, but also the planning ability, the accessibility equipment, and then the history.
so. This was the lowest price. Is that how this was?
Again,
procured?
we're going to talk about an RFP, which I wouldn't get into. But again, what I asked today in the meeting was, how are these decided? And they said, well, here, and they showed me the procurement process. I said, I think this might need to be relooked at as we move forward to ensure that we're taking both the history of past projects and also the skill sets. If we're wasting money not doing things effectively and efficiently based on a policy, well, then we have to look at the policy to do it effectively and efficiently. So I can't say that's there, but I can guarantee that we will be looking at this as a learning opportunity and how we can avoid it in the future.
Okay.
And I do appreciate your understanding, Mr. Young, because this has not been an easy project.
No,
This is, I believe, why this project has been put off for so long.
Yeah, we are. I get it. We're a unicorn in terms of our neighborhood with the
One access. We don't design neighborhoods.
Hey,
like
listen,
this.
I'm protecting the one access, so I get it at the same time. But on the other hand, like now, hey, listen, I guess in a way I'm thankful it's not during the day because I primarily work from home. But at the same time, now I got to rethink how we're going to handle this evening.
And a lot of people, it's actually Thursday night, and again, a lot of people are asking about that. Why is it 8 o'clock? Why not till 10 when the people get? Well, again, we are always hoping for a best case scenario. So by getting those 2 extra hours in, although it makes it slightly inconvenient, there is a possibility that perhaps we get the work done a little faster. Perhaps we're not needing to take, again, I don't want to promise and under-deliver. Instead, I like to under-promise and over-deliver. And so where we're at with this one, I'm not going to be making any promises. We've got the 2 nights booked, but we're hoping that extra little bandwidth in the first night maybe make sure that it's done in time. And it's also important to know that this will be a disruption in a few weeks. And so this emergency road would need to be constructed anyways. All of this work would need to be done. We don't like the short sort of timing of it. But as I said, I became aware and the CAO became aware of the plan coming together with the last minute sort of coming in of the crane. And that's why the contractor moved forward with such a tight timeline.
Is there anything that can be done on the pedestrian stuff that we've kind of previously raised from the neighborhood?
Just to be able to walk in and out.
Yeah.
So once this side is done, we'll be looking at that. I think that's a really good point. So I'll bring that up. I'm going to be meeting back with the CAO here after we do our blocks.
Yeah.
I think it's a great point, something we can put forward in a communications piece moving forward.
Okay, I don't envy you about what you're about to go do. So
It's
good
been an
luck with
interesting
this.
door, and I appreciate just being understanding, knowing that no one wanted this.
Yeah.
It's making the best of a terrible situation.
And just, I would say, just be trying to be as community. Like, this is better than what we got from Lakefront when the whole water went out. So I appreciate this and being proactive. Not ideal with.
We know this is not
48
ideal.
hours
It's about
notice,
making
but-
the best of a terrible situation. And seriously, your understanding is legendary. I really appreciate it, Mr.
Thank you.
Thank you
Appreciate
for
it.
your time.
Thank you.